Hello, students. Welcome to part 8 of chapter 11 Enhancement in Food Production. And today we are going to discuss how microbes are used in treatment of sewage. What is sewage? We can say that sewage is large quantity of domestic waste, animal waste such as dung, hospital waste, slaughterhouse waste, or even industrial waste which may be dumped into local water bodies. All this constitutes the sewage. What does the sewage contain? It contains organic matter, human excreta. It may have pathogens or microbes like bacteria, fungi, protozoans, viruses, nematodes, which may cause diseases. Why is it necessary to treat the sewage? Of course, to remove the toxic substances. They may spread diseases like cholera, hepatitis, polio, and it is not fit for human use. Thus, we have to treat the sewage. Sewage treatment plant consists of performing or carrying out the activity in four basic steps. The preliminary treatment, then the primary treatment also called as the physical treatment, secondary treatment called as biological treatment, and the tertiary treatment which is also called as treatment of activated sludge. The preliminary treatment consists of two steps: screening and then use of grit chambers. What is screening? The sewage or the wastewater which is collected from our domestic waste or industrial waste is passed into the screening chambers, which are big tanks. All the floating material, the coarse solid particles, they are filtered and they are removed in screening chambers from the sewage. You can see in the picture how nets and screens are used to remove these large floating water waste from the water bodies. So big pieces are separated in screening. After that, it is passed into the grit chambers. In the grit chambers, the water which is still having some coarse material or some smaller particles, some grit, it is allowed to settle down with the help of pebbles and brick ballast. And when it is settled down, it will be mechanically separated. You can see the grit is separated at the bottom. Now the upper water, it is this grit chambers, it is having an outlet. It is now passed to the next tank where the primary treatment or the physical treatment will be carried out. Second, after that will be the secondary, which is the biological treatment, and then the tertiary or the treatment of activated sludge. In the primary treatment, basically there are big tanks, and the water which is coming from the grit chambers, it is just allowed to settle down. Basically, it is a sedimentation tank. Water is just allowed to settle over there. As water settles there, it doesn't move over there. All the suspended particles, for 50 to 70% of the suspended solids, 30 to 40% of the coliform organisms, they settle down, and the sedimented matter which is present at the bottom, it is called as the primary sludge. You can see in the picture sludge is shown which is brownish in color. This is primary sludge, which is the sedimented matter. Of course, it can be removed or extracted mechanically. The upper part, it is called as the supernatant or effluent, and this is then sent to the secondary treatment. So the supernatant or the effluents, they are sent from the outlet to the secondary treatment, and the primary sludge is kept as it is for now. In the secondary treatment, it is biological treatment. The primary effluent which was collected from the primary treatment, it is now put into big aeration tanks. Big tanks, and these tanks are aerated. Aerated means what? Literally, air is pumped into it by agitating big pumps. And because air is pumped into it, what happens? Fungi start growing. These fungi have mycelium filaments, and even aerobic bacteria start growing because air is pumped, and they form mesh, and this mesh is called as flocks. What is the role of this flocks? These flocks, they start consuming the organic matter present in that effluent, and they will start decomposing the organic matter. And as they are starting to decompose the organic matter and convert it into inorganic substances, of course the biological oxygen demand for that effluent will reduce. Always remember, student, lesser the pollution, lesser the organic matter in a sewage, lesser is the BOD. More the pollution, more oxygen will be required for the organic matter to be decomposed. Thus, secondary treatment or biological treatment is carried out with the help of flocks, that is microbes, aerobic bacteria and fungi. After this, what happens? The tertiary treatment begins. In the tertiary treatment, listen carefully, the water which was treated in the aeration tank or secondary treatment, this water is sent to recycle. But whatever flocks were there, these flocks are then sent to the anaerobic bioreactor digester. So once the BOD of the water is reduced, it is passed into another settling tank. The bacterial flocks, very important, the activated sludge is now called, that flocks, they are allowed to settle down, and this flock, settled flock, is now called as the activated sludge. These activated sludge are then sent to anaerobic chambers where anaerobic bacteria starts digesting these anaerobic sludge anaerobically. And during this process, gases like methane, hydrogen sulfide, carbon dioxide gases, they are produced. If they are stored in some cylinders, they can be used as biogas also. Okay, so who is producing these gases? That flux, which is now called as the activated sludge, which is digested by the anaerobic bacteria in another chambers, they are producing these gases. And what happens to the water which was treated? This water is then chlorinated, the effluents from the secondary treatment, it is chlorinated, and now it is free from pathogens, it is free from organic matter, so we can release this into water bodies, into rivers. Digested sludge, now when we have finished this digestion of the digested sludge in the anaerobic chambers, this can be used to make sludge cakes. Either it can be disposed, or even it will be a good source of manures in the field. So in this way, the sewage water is treated in four basic steps. Just a brief revision. In preliminary treatment, we passed it to screening chambers where we filtered larger particles. Then the grit chambers, we settled down the grit. Then it was passed for the primary treatment. In primary treatment, it was allowed to settle down. This was the sludge and this was the effluent. Was allowed to undergo growth of flux. It was agitated mechanically, air was pumped in, and aerobic bacteria and flux formed a mesh, and they digested all the organic matter, reduced the BOD. Then this effluent is chlorinated and it's sent to the water body. What happens to this activated sludge present here also? This mesh which is allowed to settle down, and all these activated sludge is then treated by anaerobes, and then it, after treating it with the help of anaerobes, it can be then disposed either in the fields, used as manure, and during this process, various gases are released. So with this, we have completed the process of sewage treatment. In next video, I will discuss about biogas production. Thank you.